This is Scrap Kitchen, episode 24, Budgeting in the Apocalypse, in which Magda, me, talks about tilling, no-till plots, sticking to a budget, and tomato seedling mishaps. My partner and I were out celebrating a friend's birthday, and of course, collapse came up. Something about us having 5 years tops left on democracy, and Zach, my partner, made a joke about our budgeting, that it really won't matter if we spend a little over the budget on food if in a few years' time society as we know it will fall. Which honestly, vibes. Welcome to Scrap Farm, the newsletter/podcast where I document starting a farm in the midst of all this. If you can't see, I'm gesturing wildly. I would like to point out, as I have before, that living through an apocalypse is not new, not by any stretch of the imagination. Indigenous people and those under the rule of colonialism, especially those who have been enslaved or undergone genocide, have, within their lifetimes, experienced many apocalyptic events. The political situation being what it is, with the looming tariffs and pro-Palestinian voices being spirited away, with the deportation of legal residents of the US, and the absolute buffoonery that is dismantling the government piece by piece, it can seem a little apocalyptic. It is a little apocalyptic, and that's without climate change being added into the mix, which is very much here, heating up and getting stronger by the second. For many people, we must remember that this is not their first apocalypse. It's not even mine, honestly, looking at you, COVID. But anyway, it begs the question, what is the point of budgeting at this time? I say this as someone on a pretty solid budget as we start our own business. As someone who spent most of her adult life on a strict budget, or at the very least, a bit skint. But I can't really muster up the reserves to follow through on our budget to the letter this time. Some of this is because I feel more resourced than I ever have, supported by friends and family, doing a job I know that will be useful, the farming, the waitressing less so. I even have skills I didn't have a few years ago. And more importantly, I know that there are people out there working on providing mutual aid, support, edible, financial, otherwise. I know this because I've been one of them, both giving and receiving. In tending and being tended, I've tested the tensile strength of the web around me, and like a trampoline, I had a little bounce. Which brings me back to the budget. I have plunged more savings than I've ever had in my life, which took me years to accrue, into a business. A farm business, in a crumbling economy, and right now we are just spending money. Irrigation, seeds, compost, thousands of dollars have been spent like that. We bought a truck, for fuck's sake. But knowing this is a part of the process is somewhat comforting. We budgeted to be able to do this without loans or grants in the first year, and since those are being actively dismantled, the advisor from the local government office quite literally shrugged when we asked him about grant likelihood going forward. It's a good thing that we planned for it. This is not to say that we're any better than any farmer who gets a sweet FSA loan or grant. I would love some, but more that we hadn't counted on them. So now the rug pull doesn't seem so drastic, although it really, really is. Trump is actively fucking over farmers on every count. My partner and I are also being very pragmatic. We both have part-time jobs to support us while we start this endeavour. Hence the strict budget. It's quite interesting to see the minimum amount of hours one can work while still paying bills, having time to dedicate one's heart and soul to a living, breathing farm. In this, we're very lucky to not have too many expenses, either medical or practical, and, for the moment, no children. Through this, I can see the farm slowly transform into something very fucking tangible, into rows of fresh slung earth, into places for seedlings to be planted. Each bundle of green is a fresh and vibrant hope for a month's time. Even my new job has brought me into contact with plenty of people and new information to learn. It's been cool to kind of leave my responsibilities at the door there and not have to be in charge. So no, I'm not stressing about my budget. And yet, on the other side, food is getting expensive, and that is as someone growing it. So then I flip to the nihilistic side of this all. If we're hurtling towards doom, I really don't care if I spend a few extra dollars on a drink out with a friend, or if I purchase ingredients to celebrate Beltane, or if I buy a ticket to a bluegrass night, which is like $10 at the local queer bar. As my friend Billy said in his wonderful Edinburgh accent, which I'm not going to imitate here, money's for spending. So I'm bringing that vibe to life. Responsibly, of course. I shan't be partying to excess, but I certainly won't begrudge myself the margins of errors in a budget. and I will be buying all the seeds, compost, equipment that we need to make this farm viable. And hell, if it all does collapse, having irrigation and a high tunnel are going to be worth their weight in gold, honestly. Farm updates. We're really in it now, boys. Our landlord has tilled both blocks for us, which means we are moments from planting. Well, about a week or so. You may be asking how we plan to do no-till/no dig while also being excited about tilling. But that was it. That was the first and final till for the farm. From there came the laborious task of shaping all the beds. They're 2.5 feet bed tops with 1.5 foot bed paths. We made 12 of them in one very hot day. The process involves smashing dirt with a rake in the path area and then dragging it onto the bed area. The beds are where we're going to be planting our seedlings or sowing seeds. We will be doing a permanent raised bed system, meaning we will plant into the same spot over and over, year after year. We will build fertility in these beds and not disturb the soil more than necessary. This will help us reduce the weed pressure, at least over time, maintain soil structure, and give us somewhere to focus on making the best growing conditions possible. Our next step after bed shaping has been to add compost to the tops of the beds. This too was an endeavour. Our beds are 400 feet from the compost pile, because that's where it got delivered, and one wheelbarrow at a time, my partner and I brought out enough compost to cover each bed with an estimated 2-ish inches of compost. It's about 7 wheelbarrows per bed. It was a long day. After that, we broad forked each bed, which is a way of aerating the soil and reducing compaction brought about by the tractor driving over the area. It's also especially important considering our soil is pretty clayey. We borrowed the broad fork from the local tool library, and I am truly enamoured with the lending economy in this area. In the greenhouse, we have some wonderful looking Salanova lettuce that is a week or so away from being planted. We also have some really good looking chard and kale. We've been having an absolute mare of getting our pepper and tomato seeds to start, but the daily temperature has been fluctuating quite a bit, which I think has had something to do with it. We'll now be heating the trays from below with handy heating mats, and I hope this will do the trick for germination. This was one of the moments where a germ chamber would have been useful, but we have limited space and we're trying to limit expenses, which is very funny actually. I say this after my diatribe about spending the necessary money. So, this is the lesson for next year. Buy what you need for the tomatoes. They are worth it. Don't wait them out. Our next few tasks on the farm are going to be big ones. They are coinciding, unfortunately, with graduation here in Ann Arbor, which means that our paying jobs need more attention than the farm. So balance has been critical. In the next week, we'll be putting up an 8-foot deer fence around the perimeter of the growing area, as the area has been described as a deer highway. And we'll be digging a 300-foot long, 4-foot deep trench to bury a pipe below the frost line that connects the well at our landlord's house to our growing area so that we can have irrigation. And then we will be planting. We're really only waiting for the pipe to arrive before we hire the trench digging tool. It feels to me, who at this point on other farms already had a lot in the ground, that we are a little behind. But I remind myself that we started later than we ever planned to, and there is plenty of summer left to go. The work we put in now will last several years, and that too is a cheering thought. Oh, and we might be getting a hoop house, but more on that soon. Anyway, I'm working on documenting all our work in a video for YouTube, but this requires a moment's respite. Hopefully, I will have one of those, a moment, but also a video, coming next week. Until then, see you on the flip side. Bye.